The purpose of these lessons is to show you the logic behind the most basic Chinese characters, beginning with the simplest pictograms and later combining these elements to create more complex characters. This lesson is a continuation of Lesson 85, based on P, reviewed here, which depicts the skinning of a dead animal. The animal's open mouth and body appear on the left, while a hand grasps and peels off its hide on the right. This character can mean an animal's skin, fur, hide, or leather, or a plant's rind, bark, or peel. Our first character adds the earth radical tu to indicate a slope or hillside. Pronounced first tone, puo, puo. My Chinese dictionary explains that P was chosen as the phonetic because an animal's coat seems to flow smoothly in one downward direction, just as a hill slopes gently downward. Sounds a bit far-fetched, but Chinese etymologists do their best to come up with a reason for a chosen phonetic. My uneducated guess would be that the fur-covered back of an animal is suggestive of a grass-covered hill. A slope is 坡道, as for skiing. 我们顺着越野滑雪的坡道走. We walked along the cross-country ski slope. 山坡 would be a mountain slope. 我们坐在山坡的草地上吃野餐. We sat on the grassy mountain slope, enjoying our picnic. Ramps or inclines for an easier access to buildings also use this character. 这些上下坡道是为了做轮椅者使用. These up and down ramps are for wheelchair users. 上坡, 下坡 can also mean uphill or downhill. 上坡行走时特别吃力. Walking uphill is especially strenuous. 上坡时请你扶着我一把. Please hold on to my arm when we go uphill. 滑雪者从山顶上滑行下坡. Skiers coasted down the slope from the mountain summit. Just as in English, when a business or a person's popularity goes downhill, 走下坡, it's not looking good. 他日本餐厅的生意越来越走下坡. Business at her Japanese restaurant is going further downhill by the day. Today's second character replaces the earth radical with the three-drop water radical to indicate water shaped like a hill or a wave. It's pronounced either first tone 坡 or 波. Waves naturally move outward until reaching the nearest shoreline. From this rising, falling, and ever-expanding image, 波 as a verb means to fluctuate and to spread, affect, involve, or implicate. I've noticed that many Chinese use 坡 for the noun and 波 for the verb. So that's how I will read the following sentences. 在光波跟电子波之间有显著的差别. There's a distinct difference between light and electron waves. 这几天来，他的心情一直波动着. She's been in an anxious state of mind these past few days. 波动 means to rise and fall or fluctuate. Once started, waves ripple and spread outward, affecting everything in their path. So, 波及 has the meaning of involve, implicate, or entangle. 此起熊熊大火没有波及到财主的名画. The conflagration did not touch the wealthy owner's valuable paintings. 那2名党员打架事件波及到全党. The scuffle between the 2 of its members affected the entire party. 限制中国贸易一定会波及到全世界. Restricting Chinese trade will definitely involve the whole world. The third character in this lesson takes 坡 as phonetic, placing it above the female radical 女. It's pronounced second tone, 坡, 坡. This character originally described a form of whirling dance, possibly due to wave-like movements of the arms. However, that meaning is rarely heard. By far the most common meaning is a respectful term for an old woman, and specifically the mother of one's husband, 婆婆. Colloquially, it can also simply mean grandmother, especially one's 外婆 or maternal grandmother. Remember that 外 from lesson 15 referred to one's female relatives, literally those outside the clan, whose ancestors were worshipped in evening rituals, whereas the husband's ancestors were worshipped in the early morning. The original meaning of 外 was evening divination. 坐过去点，婆婆会好坐一些. Move over a bit so grandma can sit more comfortably. This would be the daughter-in-law speaking to her children. 请刘婆婆坐在这里好不好? Mrs. Liu, come sit over here, all right? In Chinese, people of the same generation are often spoken to with the same form of address, as if they were a relative. In English, relatives must be related by blood or marriage, and the terms are not applied to friends or strangers, except possibly in certain religious traditions where members are addressed as father, mother, brother, or sister. 外公怎么一个人来? 外婆呢? How come Grandpa is alone? Where's Grandma? 她是王太太的公公婆婆. They're Mrs. Wang's mother and father-in-law. The phrase 婆婆妈妈的 is often used to describe someone who can't make up their mind, is womanishly fussy, or even over-sentimental. The opposite of straightforward and frank. 你不要这么婆婆妈妈的. Make up your mind, will you? Yes or no? Today's fourth character replaces the water radical of 坡 with the foot and leg 足 radical to indicate a person walking with an up and down, wave-like movement, or limping. It's pronounced third tone, 跛, 跛, and means to be lame or crippled. The most common phrases using this character are 一跛一跛的 and 一颠一跛的, obviously referring to a person's unusual walking movements. 她一跛一跛的走去开门. She hobbled over to open the door. 我一颠一跛的走过街道. I limped across the street. 跛足 and 跛行 are descriptions of the leg itself and a hobbling movement. 那个乞丐的跛足是皱尾. That beggar's limp is faked. Notice the expression 皱尾 for forged artworks or to create an imitation. 十几天后，猫可以跛行了. After about 10 days, the cat could stagger around. The word for a cripple is 跛子. I'm not sure if that's the politically correct English term nowadays, but that's what's given in my dictionary. 他儿子在机车意外后成了跛子。After a motorcycle accident, his son was a cripple. Before introducing the next character with the P phonetic, we need to learn another basic pictogram, the character for stone, pronounced second tone, shi, shi. It's the drawing of a boulder at the bottom of a cliff. The general term for stone is a combination of shi with unstressed tou to create an instantly recognizable noun, 石头。他把女友的名字刻在石头上。He carved his girlfriend's name into the stone. 我们挪不动堵着山道的大石头。We were unable to move the boulder blocking the mountain road. 大理石 is the correct term for marble. Notice that 理 actually refers to the layers of color within a piece of jade, as we saw in lesson 74. So the combination is quite apt, since marble also has various layers of color. 大厅宽敞的大理石地面很滑。The wide marble floor of the main hall is very slippery. A stone statue is 石像。雕看到了蛇时，如石像一样，动也不动。On seeing the snake, the ferret froze like a statue of stone. 宝石 is the term for a precious stone, gem, or jewel. 我无法不去留意他手上闪亮的宝石。I couldn't help noticing the flashy jewel on her hand. A fossil is 化石, literally petrified, changed into stone. 大象的化石是在本地出土的。The elephant fossil was unearthed in this area. Now, with the stone radical, we can create character number 6. Stone paired with P, pronounced fourth tone, 破, 破. P has both a phonetic and semantic contribution to make, since it originally depicted the forceful separation of the skin from an animal. So a stone or rock forcibly broken into fragments is 破. Meanings of 破 include to break, defeat an enemy, solve a criminal case, to see through or expose what is hidden. As an adjective, it literally means dilapidated or ruined, destroyed. 破皮了 means you have a cut. The skin is broken and bleeding. 没关系，就破了一点皮。It's nothing, just a little cut. 我侄子跌倒了，手肘破了一层皮。My nephew fell down and scraped his elbow. 打破 means to break something, intentionally or otherwise. 你打破了锅子的把手，要挨骂了。You broke the pot handle. You're in for it now. 破土 can mean either to break through the soil, as a sprouting plant, or to break ground for a new building. 小草从冰雪中破土而出。Blades of grass sprouted from below the snow-covered earth. 下个月，男宿舍要破土动工。They'll break ground for construction of the men's dormitory next month. And here's a Chinese grammatical term, 破音字, which is a character that literally breaks into different pronunciations. 都是破音字，有两个念法，都或都。都 is a split sound character. It can be read do or do. These next three examples mean broken in some way. 那个破桶子很明显没人用了。It's obvious nobody's using that old bucket. 我才不要坐你的破车子。I will not ride in that beat-up junker of yours. 我的中国话很破，不好意思开口。My Mandarin is awful, and I'm too embarrassed to speak it. To make an exception, literally break a rule or regulation, is 破例。我无法为你破例。I can't make an exception for you. 可不可以破例一下？不行。Can't you make one exception? No, I cannot. 我们今天破例，可是下不为例哦。We'll make an exception today, but just this one time. A common idiom is 一语道破, which means to hit the nail on the head. Literally, to break through with one penetrating remark. 这恼人的问题被你一语道破。You've nailed this vexing issue with that one comment. Actually, this is a passive sentence. More accurately, but less naturally translated as, this vexing issue was nailed by you with that one comment. 他一语道破这件事情的真相。Her comment laid bare the truth of this whole affair. This sentence could also be rephrased with passive 被。这件事情的真相被他一语道破。The truth of this whole affair was laid bare by her comment. 他用诗一语道破了伟大的真理。With few words, she reveals great truths through her poetry. 他的大嘴巴一语道破了天机。His big mouth let out the big secret with that one remark. 天机 originally meaning something inexplicable. Here simply means a secret. 点破 literally touch and burst means to bring something out into the open, point it out bluntly, lay it bare. 我们何等的小心，才不点破他的幻想。We were ever so careful not to burst her fantasy bubble. 一言破地, literally to hit the target with one remark, is a less common idiom, but quite similar to 一语道破。他一言破地，没有你，就没有工厂的今天。He hit the nail on the head. Without you, this factory wouldn't exist today. 你昨天讲的真是一言破地，要言不凡。Your comments yesterday were brief and to the point. 要言不凡 is an idiom which translates as English succinct. Literally, important words, none of which are superfluous. Here's another example from a notice posted on a student dormitory public telephone before the invention of cell phones. 讲电话时，请要言不凡，省通话时间。When using this public phone, please keep your conversations short to save time. To break into a house or force open a door is rendered as 破门而入。他外出时，歹徒破门而入。Burglars broke into her apartment when she was out. 把门打开，不然我们就破门而入。Open this door, or we'll break it down. 我们因为丢了钥匙，不得不破门而入。We'd lost the key and had no choice but to break down the door. When a person lets loose with a torrent of abuse, loudly shouting abuse at someone, Chinese uses the idiom 破口大骂, literally to burst out with abuse. 他真恨不得破口大骂那个员工。He was itching to let loose a torrent of abuse at that employee. 当他听到女儿的这些话，他破口大骂。On hearing his daughter say this, he threw a cussing fit. Our final character combines the phonetic P on the left side of the component for the human head, yeah, that we learned in lesson 40. It originally meant the head was tilted to one's side, possibly from the same logic as 彼此, 此 meaning here and 彼 meaning there. The resulting character is pronounced third tone, 婆, or first tone, 坡, but there's a difference. First tone, 坡, is usually reserved for the meaning of tilted, uneven, biased, or unfair. This usage requires another character that we haven't learned yet. So today I'm only concerned with third tone, 坡, which translates into English as somewhat, rather, quite, considerably, or very. 他的个性跟思想颇像日本人。His personality and thought process are rather like a Japanese person's. 他讲的理论，别人颇不以为然。Other people highly disapprove of his theory. 颇 is often found in expressions with the verb to have, 有。这首诗颇有趣。This poem is quite interesting. 你说的颇有道理。What you say makes quite a lot of sense. 他颇有信心能完成你指派他的事。She's quite confident she'll be able to complete the work you assigned. 这几天天气颇有凉意。The weather these past few days has been rather cool. 他是颇有名气的英国诗人。He's a rather well-known English poet. 颇 is also commonly used in phrases with the verb 为, meaning to be. 讲到这，今天的话题颇为动人。The preacher's topic for today was quite moving. 他们迫不及待的心情，我颇为理解。I can quite understand their impatience. 他这几个月来的成就，使他颇为得意。His accomplishments these past few months have made him quite pleased with himself. Here is our color chart with today's 5 characters. 坡婆婆破坡婆 and 时。Here's a recap from today's lesson. 1. This lesson is a continuation of lesson 85 based on the character P, meaning skin, hide, bark, or peel. The characters based on P in lesson 85 were all pronounced with the vowels E or A, while those in this lesson all contain the W vowel sound. 2. Presumably, several of the characters presented with P, phonetic, are related to the image of an animal's coat of fur, seeming to slope or hang gently downward, the direction you would naturally pet a cat or dog. That image gives us po with the earth radical for a slope or hillside, po with the water radical for hill-like waves, and bo with the foot and leg radical for an up and down limping gait, and po with the water wave po over the female component for swirling, wave-like dance movements. This gentle, easy on the joints, whirling dance may have been performed by older women, and then generalized to include the women themselves. 3. Other characters in this lesson seem to be inspired by the meaning of pulling the skin from an animal's body, giving us be in Lesson 85, meaning there as opposed to here. Po with a stone radical for a rock broken into fragments. And po with the human head radical for the meaning of pulled to one side, or tilted, meaning rather or somewhat. 4. And obviously, the character for a stone, shi, was added to explain the composition of po, to break or destroy. Now you will find a short quiz on double, triple character, and longer expressions. Answer using only the characters learned so far. Thank you for watching and listening.